Hi. Speed info in touch. On the 284th day of Russia's full-scale military invasion of Ukraine, on Sunday, December 4th, Russian troops continue to try to keep the captured settlements of the neighboring country under control. The armed forces and units of the territorial defense of Ukraine resist aggression. It is impossible to verify the statements of representatives of both sides from independent sources. According to the UN, about 14 million Ukrainians have already left their homes. Battles near Bakhmut. The Ukrainian military command noticed a change in the tactics of the Russian forces, which began to operate in small groups. So, according to the official representative of the Vostok Operational Command, Sergei Cherevati, in the Bakhmut direction, the Wagner PMC is creating small assault groups that are trying to act dispersed in order to quickly reach the Ukrainian positions and penetrate the trenches. On the air of the telethon, Cherevati also said that the enemy is now seeking to surround Bakhmut in the Donetsk region after the failure of an attempt to take him on the forehead. It was near Bakhmut that 5 Georgian volunteers who fought on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine died on December 3. Avto Rurva, Roland Kvaratskhelia, Romeo Pikaya, Mira Baladashvili, and Badri Markelia, the Ukrainian embassy in Georgia reported. Head of the Office of the President of Ukraine Andrei Yermak confirmed this information, pointing out that a group of Ukrainian military and Georgian volunteers from the 57th Brigade were surrounded near Bakhmut. Fierce battles every day, the enemy throws everything he can into battle. The constant work of artillery, the paintings look like from the First World War, the darkness and the corpses of enemies who are not even taken from the battlefield. They put their hundreds without an idea, without honor. The Ukrainian Navy accuses the Russian army of using banned chemical weapons, Soviet K-51 aerosol grenades. The Navy report indicates that such ammunition was dropped from drones on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in the east of the country. To protect themselves from the strong irritant effect of prohibited ammunition, the Marines hold their positions in chemical protective equipment, the report says. The General Staff of Ukraine on the course of hostilities. During the offensive in the Avdiivsky and Bakhmut directions, Russian forces are actively using aviation, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. In other directions, the enemy is mainly on the defensive, including in the Zaporozhye and Kherson directions, and is shelling settlements near the front line, including Nikopol and Kherson. The evening summary of the General Staff indicates that during the day the occupiers launched 2 missile strikes, and also carried out more than 10 attacks from the MLRS on the positions of Ukrainian troops and settlements along the line of contact. The Ukrainian command reports the losses of the Russian army in the Donetsk and Luhansk directions. According to its data, hospitals in Donetsk are overflowing with the wounded, planned operations for civilian patients have been postponed, and new wounded are not being accepted. Only in the Novopskovskaya territorial community of the Luhansk region, up to 300 wounded Russians have been delivered to medical facilities in recent days, the operational report says. The General Staff notes that Russian troops restrict the rights and freedoms of civilians in the occupied territory of the Kherson region. In particular, home delivery of pensions has been stopped in the Skotovsky district, and pensioners are forced to receive Russian passports at post offices. A unit of the Dneprovsk anti-aircraft missile brigade of the Ukrainian Air Command Vostok shot down a Russian Ka-52 helicopter. According to the Navy of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 32 Russian warships are on combat duty in the Black, Azov, and Mediterranean seas. At the same time, out of 21 ships in the Black Sea, 4 are carriers of Caliber cruise missiles, the total salvo is 24 missiles, and out of 9 ships in the Mediterranean Sea, 5 are carriers of Caliber, the total salvo is 76 missiles. In the Sea of Azov, 2 ships of the Russian Navy are on combat duty. The Russian Ministry of Defense on the course of hostilities. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation announced the success of the Russian offensive in the area of Bakhmut. Russian authorities call the city by its old name Artemovsk, in the Donetsk region. According to the agency, more than 50 Ukrainian servicemen were killed in this direction during the day. 6 armored combat vehicles of the armed forces of Ukraine were destroyed. The official representative of the Russian Ministry of Defense, Igor Konashenkov, said that in the Yuzhno-Donetsk direction, the Ukrainian unit, which was trying to break into Pavlovka, was forced out into a minefield and destroyed by artillery fire, and that the attacks of the armed forces of Ukraine in the direction of the settlement of Shevchenko, Donetsk region, were repelled in a day. According to reports, up to 40 Ukrainian servicemen were killed there. According to Konashenkov, a Ukrainian Su-25 aircraft was shot down near Pokrovsk, Donetsk region, 9 Ukrainian drones were shot down in Luhansk, Donetsk and Kharkiv regions, and 5 HIMARS and Uragan shells were intercepted in Luhansk and Zaporozhye regions. Shelling of Ukrainian cities. On the night of December 4th, Russian troops opened fire 10 times from Gradov and heavy artillery on the Nikopol district of the Dnipropetrovsk region, and during the day, 5 more times, said the head of the military administration of the region, Valentin Reznichenko. Hits were recorded in Nikopol itself and the Pokrovskaya territorial community. In the village of Kapulovka, a 23-year-old man died in the yard of his house. At night, Russian troops again fired missiles at the Zaporozhye region. Windows were broken in the territory of a private building in one of the villages, the roofs of private houses and power lines were damaged, the head of the military administration of the region Alexander Staruk wrote, adding that people were not injured. In the Donetsk region, 1 civilian was killed from Russian shelling over the past day. In Predtekino, 5 more people were injured, said the head of the regional military administration Pavel Kirilenko. The day before, on December 3, 2 civilians were killed and 7 more were injured as a result of Russian shelling in the Donetsk and Kherson regions. Such data was given by the deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine Kyrylo Tymoshenko. According to the head of the military administration of the Kherson region, Yaroslav Yanushevich, on December 3, Russian invaders fired 46 times at peaceful settlements in the Kherson region, from artillery, tanks, mortars, and MLRS. In the residential areas of Kherson, hits on private and apartment buildings were recorded. The civil infrastructure of the city was damaged. Over the past 24 hours, Russian troops have repeatedly launched artillery and rocket attacks on the settlements of the Kapyansky district of the Kharkiv region. Thus, in Kapyansk-Kozlovoy, as a result of shelling, the road surface and railway infrastructure were damaged. S-300 rockets damaged windows and roofs in 5 private houses in the Shevchenko community. According to the head of the regional military administration Oleg Syngubov, local authorities, together with volunteers, continue the voluntary evacuation of residents. On the morning of December 4, 185 people expressed a desire to move. Shelling of the Belgorod and Kursk regions. The authorities of the Belgorod and Kursk regions of Russia bordering Ukraine reported shelling of these territories from Ukraine. So, according to the governor of Kursk, Roman Starovoyt, the village of Gavo in the Sudzhansky district and the farmstead of Kusherovo in the Belovsky district fell under the shelling of the armed forces of Ukraine. There were no casualties or serious damage. The head of the Belgorod region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, said that there was no shelling of the village of Tishunka, Volokhanovsky district, and the village of Krasnoye, Shebekhinsky urban district. There are also no casualties or significant damage. In Tishunka, damage was found on the gas supply and electricity lines to the destroyed non-residential building. The situation in the Kherson region. In the village of Davidov Brod, Kherson region, a bridge was restored, which was completely destroyed by Russian troops, said the head of the regional military administration, Yaroslav Yanushevich. According to him, traffic has been resumed on the bridge on the Kochubevka-Davidov Brod local road. Russia has evacuated all employees of the occupying administration and police from the city of Olishki, located on the left bank of the Dnieper in the Kherson region. The speaker of the Odessa region, Serhiy Brachuk, reports, citing the Ukrainian National Resistance Center. According to the association, family members of these persons were also taken out. On December 3, the fighters of the Carlson Aerial Reconnaissance Unit of the Armed Forces of Ukraine published a video showing the raised Ukrainian flag on a construction crane. According to the fighters, the flag was raised near Olishki. From the point of view of the American Institute for the Study of War, a flag-raising sortie by the Ukrainian military on the left bank of the Dnieper could open up opportunities for the defenders of Ukraine to conduct active offensive operations on the eastern bank of the river in the Kherson region. According to analysts, this is also indicated by the location of Russian fortifications. They are building defensive lines south of the Dnieper. More than 500 settlements in Ukraine are deprived of electricity. At present, as a result of Russian strikes, there is no power supply in 507 settlements of 8 Ukrainian regions, First Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine Yevgeny Yanin said on the air of the telethon. According to him, the Kharkiv region suffers the most from this, where 112 settlements are de-energized. Residents of more than 90 settlements of Donetsk and Kherson regions, as well as in Mykolaiv, Zaporozhye and Luhansk regions remain without electricity. Thank you for watching.